The steps we took to make our books. So Meke Tūī and Meke Tuatara are written by me, Malcolm Clarke, and illustrated by Phlox, and they've been published by Little Love. And I get asked quite often the process in which we took to get these published. In this video, I'm going to do my best to describe to you the steps, and I'll post any links or any references that I give below. If you have an idea for a children's book, you just need to write it. There's no rules. I've seen all sorts of different children's books that defy convention. Ultimately, for me though, I feel like children's books play a role in helping to promote a good message or a value. I've also found that rhyming books can be more successful just because the cadence of the writing helps to draw young minds into the book. Like Meke Tūī, for example, deep in the forest, at the first sign of light, Tere the Tūī set off on her flight. But it's not essential. Sometimes the best children's books are just about being entertaining. Most people that want to know how to make a children's book already have an idea for one. But if you're interested in learning about how I was inspired, then leave a comment and I can tell you more about that. What I will say is that inspiration can come to us at really strange times, and for me it's been mostly when I've been out in nature. So if you're struggling for ideas, give yourself the space and time to let your subconscious do the work for you. That means not distracting yourself with apps, TikTok, television, or small tasks. One time when I was struggling with inspiration, a friend of mine said to me, go for a walk until you get really bored. It's a great way to give your mind the space, and I totally agree. So you've got your idea. The best way I've found to start is to plot out your idea in story bullet points. Here's what our book Meke Tūī would look like as a collection of bullet points. Then you can flesh out these ideas into phrases. They might rhyme or they may not. A conventional story will probably try and address some kind of lesson or learning. The main character might be processing a feeling or trying to solve a problem. But it's important to note that children's books exist in all different shapes and forms, and sometimes disrupting conventions is a great way to make your mark. Our books mostly focus on three values: kindness, creativity, and conservation. Meke Tūī has a subtle message of accepting difference, and Meke Tuatara explores feelings and how one can work towards finding joy. It's totally possible to write a children's book without any previous experience of writing. However, if you're stuck or you're really finding it hard to get the words out on the page, I would highly recommend doing a short writing course to at least learn the basics of story creation. In my day job, I work as an editor for television, working on scripted and unscripted shows, and that gave me a really good basis of how to write a good story. There are so many free resources online. I fully encourage you to do some learning beforehand. Also, writing doesn't have to take place sitting at a computer or writing in a journal. For me, writing Meke Tuatara, I was having a conversation with a friend and I was telling them about the basics of the story, that I wanted to have a character who was struggling with depression. And they told me about their personal experience, about how the act of kindness, them helping someone else, was something that shifted their dark mood. I know personally the benefit of that kind of work, and so I decided that that would be the message that I wanted to portray. This was a large part of the writing process, and it happened while I was having a conversation with my friend. Once you're happy with your draft and you think it's the best that it can possibly be, I strongly encourage you to get some unbiased opinions from either friends, a professional book editor, or contact your local school and get a primary school teacher to tell you what they think of your idea. Our publisher Little Love recommend using an independent manuscript assessor. They're worth their weight in gold no matter how you choose to publish. If you're looking for an assessor, the New Zealand Society of Authors has a comprehensive list on their website. It can be tricky getting criticism sometimes, but you have to look at the comments from an objective point of view. When we were making Meke Tūī, we sent the concept plus the manuscript to a very well-respected member of the industry. The feedback was really harsh. They didn't like the illustrations, they thought the book was too long and the rhyming structure was clunky. That was really hard to hear, but they did have a good point, especially about the writing. So I worked really hard with an editor to get the rhyming phrases working as good as I could possibly get them. But the comment about the illustration style, I decided to ignore because I really thought that the artwork would be really popular. It's worth mentioning that the book still isn't perfect. There's a couple of rhyming phrases that don't flow as well as they possibly could. But perfectionism is the enemy of progress. I never set out to be the most amazing writer. All I wanted was a vehicle to be able to promote good values and get children excited about nature. Side note, we later sent the finished book to the same person that delivered that really harsh critique. They rang the publisher immediately and they said that it was the most beautiful book they had ever seen. crafting a rhyming book is actually harder than it seems. Sophia from Little Love introduced me to an independent editor. We then started the process of refining the structure and making sure the rhymes worked really well. The next stage of editing was proofreading to get the spelling and grammar perfect. We saved this till the end after the illustrations had been done. And of course we had several eyes look through the book after we'd done the layout to make sure there were no missed mistakes. Additionally, we had the privilege of working with our kaitiaki reo Evelyn Tobin. She made sure all the te reo Māori in the book was perfect and later translated both books to te reo Māori. Her contribution to the project was invaluable. Hey everyone. So somewhere about here is when you want to start building a presence on social media. Loads of people that I've chatted to that want to make a book don't realize how important this is. Unless you're really lucky and get a viral video.
It was a cranky, stinky, dinky, lanky, honky, tonky, winky.
Or a huge international distribution deal, selling a book can be really hard. And in the world of children's book publishing, self-promotion is often neglected. You can start a TikTok account, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. Choose a couple of platforms. Instagram and Facebook in the early stages were really great for us to start building that community, but definitely TikTok is a good platform for organic growth. Everyone's loving the bird TikTok. Our Facebook page became a place where people could find out more information about the book. We could offer links for when we started our crowdfunding campaign and extend on promoting the values that we wanted to promote with the book. So for our first book, Meke Tūī, we actually ran a Kickstarter campaign that raised $25,000 towards manufacturing and printing the book. Building that social community early on was crucial to help the campaign run successfully, but I'll go into more about that later on. The big takeaway here is start building a community, and if you've already got some images or things to post about, or you want to tell people about your idea, social media is the best way to start doing that. Now, if you're not illustrating the book yourself, you can find a local artist and approach them, someone that you like that might be interested in illustrating, or you can recruit one via freelance websites like Upwork or Fiverr. Also, if you're looking for illustrators based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, you might want to check out the Sandra Illustration Agency. Their website is a great resource and you might find the perfect illustrator there. This might require a little bit of funding up front, which I can go into a little bit more detail later. But in the meantime, assuming you've got a little bit of cash to throw at this, you can get started with illustrations. For Meke Tuatara, I found it really beneficial to sketch out what was in my head when I was writing the book. Now, you can see from my drawings that I ain't no Picasso, but it gave the designer and the illustrator a really good basis to understand what was going on in my head. So there's a few ways to go about it. You can form a partnership with your illustrator and give them some percentage of ownership over the book, or you can contract them and pay them an outright fee for them to make the illustrations for you, and then you maintain ownership over the book when it's finished. It really depends on the individual relationships that you forge. One aspect that genuinely caught me by surprise was the design and layout process. I reckon this is perhaps the most important part, and it can totally make or break the entire book. In our case, working in collaboration with the illustrator and the designer to do the layout of the book elevated our books to the next level. The final products are really eye-catching, the artwork is beautiful, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. The devil's in the details here, and it's the subtle nuances of like text placement and those slight image adjustments to ensure everything sits perfectly on the page. I was put in touch with Little Love, our publishing company, via a mutual friend. So it's again one of those things, like if you keep talking about your idea, sometimes that will open up your network enough to be able to find those contacts that you need to help make it happen. Unfortunately, there's no fast track or VIP access we can offer here, but there are options. One option, of course, is the traditional publishing companies. I've known a few authors that have successfully signed up with publishing companies to complete their books. In this case, the company usually offers a fee for your book and then also a percentage of the royalties. The publishing company will then take charge of most of the important steps, like finding an illustrator, designing and laying out your book, distribution, sales, and marketing. But it's important to note that getting a deal with a publishing company like that is typically really hard to get. If you're a real self-starter, you could look to publish on Amazon KDP. I found a great account on TikTok that has some amazing templates and resources on how to do this. I'll put the links in the description below. Companies like Little Love specialize in assisting you with all the important processes involved in making a book. In our case, Sophia and Anna took care of project management, connected us with editors, designed and perfected the layout, created a captivating cover, chose things like paper stock. They also handled printing, marketing, and distribution. Their expertise and experience was invaluable throughout the whole process. For more information about Little Love and how much it might all cost, you can go to their website. Keep in mind that self-publishing does require an initial investment. That's why crowdfunding campaigns might help you get your project off the ground. I did touch on this earlier, but crowdfunding sites can be a great way to help in financing the printing and publishing of your book. We managed to raise $25,000 via a Kickstarter campaign to help go towards printing and shipping costs of our first book, Meke Tūī. But crowdfunding sites will only work if you're able to put the time and energy into running a campaign. You can't expect to just set up the site and wait for people to turn up. We made the site with a video and offered signed copies of the book as an incentive. And this is a great structure because people are actually getting something for their money. But we also recruited a publicist at this time, which cost us about $1,500, but I'd say they were crucial in elevating our campaign. They helped us get into lots of print and media at the time. I also spent a lot of time and energy running the campaign, interacting with social media posts, brand pairing, running competitions, and trying to bring more awareness to what we were doing.
What's happening?
What is happening? Often people will assume that you make a book, it goes on the shelves, and then suddenly you have this passive income. Unless you're really lucky and have some Scottish grandma who reads your book and the clip goes viral, like in the case of the Wonky Donkey. Or you have the backing of a massive publishing company. You have to do a lot of self-marketing. For us, this meant running competitions, finding brands to pair with, hosting events, and of course, the most important, in-person readings. There's so much here to cover when it comes to marketing your book. So if you're interested in learning more about that, drop a comment below and let me know. In the meantime, please like, share, follow. It really does help us get the message out there. I'm really happy to answer any questions if there's stuff I haven't covered in here specifically. So please send me an email or contact me via the links provided. Good luck with your creative projects. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested in buying these books, they'll be available at tumeketūī.com.